Greetings to all viewers of my channel. Thanks to cross-chain bridges, the free flow of capital reached its peak in March of this year and exceeded $25 billion. Just as globalization has led to new types of commerce in local and global economies, cross-chain globalization will be the catalyst for new applications and use cases in Web3. And the core infrastructure of this new growth cycle will be messaging networks. Blockchain interoperability is a big concept, but there are two forms of interoperability worth distinguishing. The first form of interoperability is two-way bridges between assets. In essence, these bridges are easiest to think of as banks. Banks accept assets on one side and issue liabilities on the other. And for a bank to be fully solvent, its assets must match its liabilities. Also, the main task of banks is to remain fully collateralized, and also to continuously process deposits and repayments. Almost every major bridge today is a two-way bridge of this type. Notably, most of these bridges are sponsored by blockchains. For an example, think of Polygon, Avalanche or Near Rainbow blockchain bridges. All of these bridges are created or sponsored by their blockchains, and almost all of them lead directly to the Ethereum blockchain network. This is not surprising, as emerging blockchains need bridges to bring in assets and more users. So, if two-way bridges are banks, how do these banks compete with each other? The answer is quite simple, and that is that they all compete on the size of their balance sheets. The largest, most capitalized bank will be the most trustworthy, and will ultimately earn the trust of its users. Of course, interface and efficiency matter, but when you're competing on trust, balance sheet size is considered the biggest trump card in this area. Many of these bridges are fairly centralized. But the main question that users ask themselves is not whether the bridge is decentralized, but rather whether, if that bridge gets hacked, its users will be sufficiently protected from hacking attacks. This is a complicated enough question, and we have seen many times when bridges have been hacked and hundreds of millions of assets, located on those bridges, have been stolen as a result. So the conclusion is that bridges created by blockchains are not completely secure. So what will happen next? Will sponsored bridges to Ethereum win in the long run? Here's the catch: lots of bridges can enable the free flow of capital, but two-way bridges alone cannot create a global system of interaction. This is because most of these bridges do not allow for complex interactions, as they can only make simple money transfers. The Cosmos and Polkadot blockchains had ambitions to become a global cross-chain ecosystem in the beginning, but instead they have evolved into specialized ecosystems that mostly bridge each other and leave communication outside of their ecosystems to the user. But the only way to achieve true interoperability between blockchains is to solve the complex problem of messaging. That's exactly the problem the Axelar project solves. So, Axelar is a universal interoperability layer that connects Layer 1 blockchains through a decentralized network. Using Axelar Software Development Kit, or more simply, SDK, any smart contract developer can easily call a contract on another supported blockchain with a simple asynchronous call. And the simplest form of such cross-contract calls are bridges. But there are already plenty of bridges, so Axelar is not going to occupy that niche. Instead, Axelar has the advantage of providing more complex forms of interoperability and commerce. The Axelar SDK are designed to provide the following benefits. Make it easier for blockchain developers to connect and interact with applications on other blockchains. Allow decentralized applications to easily scale across multiple networks with minimal development costs. And also, minimize the entry threshold for user interaction with applications across ecosystems. In the end, from the user's point of view, he does not need to know which blockchains are involved in the backend of his application. This is how people have long perceived the internet. When a website makes API calls to third-party servers, the user perceives it as a single application. Today it is already obvious whether you use blockchains like Solana, Ethereum or Avalanche. In the future, Web 3 may feel just like the internet. That is, only the application you interact with and everything else is abstracted from you. And if you follow this field, you're probably familiar with LayerZero and its Stargate finance. LayerZero does what Axelar does. Only Axelar has a difference between LayerZero, and now I'll explain to you why Axelar is better than LayerZero. So, Axelar is a full POS network with its own token, and all Axelar nodes run on other blockchain software. When you ask Axelar about the state of any blockchain it connects to, Axelar nodes sync with each other to query their local blockchain clients and reconcile the current state of other networks. If you want to conduct a cross-chain transaction, all Axelar nodes jointly manage threshold signature accounts on each blockchain, which can be used to perform actions or store funds on behalf of Axelar. LayerZero, on the other hand, is built quite differently. Unlike Axelar, it does not try to be the entire interoperability stack. That is instead, it is simply a set of contracts with two roles defined, relays and oracles. Oracles are responsible for communicating the actual state on the blockchains, and relays are responsible for actually delivering the messages and validating them. Which third-party relay or oracle to use is up to the user. LayerZero itself is a neutral side of messaging and a set of standards. And proper message delivery and correct reporting of the state of multiple blockchains is the crux of why cross-chain communication is difficult. And Axelar solves this problem head-on, and with a full-blown solution. Cross-chain has long been one of the holy grails of blockchain technology, and Axelar is taking the most robust approach and is well positioned to implement it. Now I think it's worth summarizing. So, at this point, almost everything in the technology has to do with the user interface. Achieving a smooth, intuitive user experience is critical to connecting the next 100 million people. If we want to achieve an end-user experience on par with what we've come to expect from Web 2, developers need the infrastructure and toolset that will allow them to erase boundaries in a cross-chain world. In the 1990s, the rise of foreign direct investment drove the growth of multinational corporations around the world. And thanks to cross-chain interoperability, Web 3 technology is on the cusp of a similar inflection point. You will no longer be limited to applications that reside within a single blockchain, and this will open up the entire Web 3 world for global access. Well, on that note I conclude my video. I will only add that this video is an introductory video and you alone are personally responsible for all your actions. Thanks for watching. Put your likes and also leave your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye.